everyone, Lingerman here. Today we're going to review a video by Watcher. This is the recent video that they posted of their investigation of the Chillingham castle in either Scotland or Ireland. I didn't pay attention too much when I watched it. It's a big castle in one of the places. It's where Braveheart was technically supposed to reference. Anyways, so while watching it last night, I noticed a bunch of areas when they were doing the investigation where they exaggerated what I feel like was what they thought was evidence. They used a bunch of equipment that I started not to believe in, and I started to think it was just them riffing off the equipment to get some content, as most YouTube ghost hunters do. With that being said, I would like you guys to watch the Watcher video first. You don't have to, but I'm pushing you towards them first, so you can watch the whole thing and get your own opinion first before you see my opinion. But if you'd rather not watch their hour and 15 minute long video, that is fine. You can just watch my quick snippet. It's not the whole thing. It's just a couple parts that I threw together that just had me questioning. That being said, let's continue on to the review of their investigation. So now we're in the castle, and Ryan and Shane from Watcher are entering the torture chamber currently. As they're entering the torture chamber, they cut away to explain the device that is in Ryan's hand currently, which is the Ovulus. I will let them, or the voiceover, explain what the Ovulus does, and I will explain why I do not believe it works that way, and then we'll see what they capture.
The Ovulus takes environmental readings that spirits are said to manipulate, such as temperature or electromagnetic fields, and converts them into corresponding words or phonetic sounds.
The issue with that is that it supposedly takes electricity from the room or area you're in. Sometimes people ghost hunt in outside, and that electricity is supposed to convert into, or EMF is supposed to convert into words and spit out the words through the box. So let's put this in perspective. Ghosts, if they're real, have not been proven to be real, but ghosts, if they're real, see somebody walking around with a device in their hand. If they're from like the 1700s, they have absolutely no idea what it is, and if you were to bring that Ovulus back to the 1700s and showed it to them, they would think you're a witch and cast you out and kill you. But it's neither here or there. Anyways, so you have this device that they would not understand what it is. They would probably be more afraid of you than curious. Anyways, so now we have that. Then we have the ghost now has to understand that it needs to use its energy, or whatever it's doing, to go into the Ovulus and then pick the words, to make the machine pick the words specifically what ghost wants you to hear. That is how they are interpreting this thing is working. And people who in ghost YouTubes and whatnot will argue that no, it doesn't, it's not that complicated, it's just it picks up EMF. We're not saying it's full ghost, it's just, you are saying it's full ghost. The fact that the device exists states that any interaction with environmental things around you can just make words. But you don't know if that's a ghost or not, because one, ghosts haven't been proven to be real, and two, any other environmental effect could affect the machine if it works that way. Let's continue on and see what they catch.
Skill. He's fucking feeling himself. God. Skill and God.
Skill God.
Is this what you think you were, John? A god? You think you were very skilled?
Now,
And this is your idea of a funeral? You sick fuck?
they would squeeze your hands.
Oh my God!
Let's tour the room and just get a peek at some.
Later,
of
you
these,
know what?
'cause
John,
I want
John
to.
says later.
Oh fuck! It's a barrel full of. They would, I guess. You all right? What'd you do?
Sprained my ankle.
You fully sprained it?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Is that you, John? Or am I just a klutz? I mean, that's a pretty big hole.
It's a big hole.
Watch your feet. They would put people in this barrel and they would roll them from one side of the room to the other, and it would basically skin them alive.
Oh,
Dude, it just said boots.
boots.
Right after I sprained my ankle. Are you fucking with us, dude? John? Do you think this is funny?
Here's a classic bed of nails. Oh my God. Let's keep going. This, I think, is to squeeze some hands, as evidenced by the gloves. Not sure what this is.
Okay, I'm guessing this is the stretching rack, judging by the bones that are...
Okay, so we're going to talk about this real quick. Do you see that there's a mannequin of bones on the rack here? I want you to keep that in mind for the next, in about 10-20 minutes when I bring it back up. So keep in mind that there are mannequins on every single one of these, well, on most of the torturing racks.
Stretched.
Here, and stretched and...
Certain.
Certain.
So yeah, that's a...
I regret my joke saying I could use a stretching rack.
This is just a nice little chair,
I was
but
just
I guess
commenting on me not being tall.
the person in it doesn't look like they're doing too well. I can't see
No.
how this chair is has any malicious intent, though.
Unclear.
No.
Okay, yeah,
Unclear,
agreed.
yeah, I mean,
Well, this one's pretty clear. This is a chair with nails on it.
best seat in the house, right here.
Now, visitors are requested, please do not use this chair as it is very old and delicate. Ryan, were you about to sit on this?
I
Or
gotta
did that
tell you,
cross your mind at all?
if you need a little sign to tell you not to sit on a chair full of spikes, you're probably the person who's gonna ignore a sign.
Yeah. Okay, what do we got here? And this is the finger screw?
Yeah, that's the screw in there. See?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh my
They got
god.
some little irons, too. Wow.
Okay, so if you noticed, the box, the Ovulus, has been spitting words out through this whole entire little tour that they've been doing. And they haven't really mentioned about it, haven't really done anything about it. It just, either they're not riffing off of it or they don't think it's any consequences. Let's continue.
These people were pretty twisted, huh?
Yeah, but humans have shown the capability throughout time to be incredibly cruel to one another. Oh look, no, I think...
Oh, this is a classic Iron Maiden.
This is a different version of the Iron Maiden.
This is the real deal, because it's iron on the outside. I think that other barrel was maybe like a prototype or
I
something.
think the barrel was something John
It
designed.
was some sick kind of remix, you know?
Yeah, he was like, let me put my own spin on it.
Yeah, and he rolled it
And
around.
then he rolled it
That's
around, exactly.
We're
Yeah.
having fun here.
Very good.
Again, not sure what's going on.
I've seen this in the film Bloody
Stab.
Sunday. Stab, head. Wait, inside, head, stab.
Yeah.
See, they finally just noticed it. They were not paying attention to the Ovulus this whole time. They were just riffing, making jokes about the whole area. This goes into my theory that Ryan, who is the one holding the Ovulus in this still right now, who used to be deathly afraid of ghosts and believed completely, is almost a non-believer now. Because he has been doing this for years. He has been doing ghost hunts with Shane for years. Before Ghost Files, it was BuzzFeed Unsolved. And if you watch the BuzzFeed Unsolved beginning ghost hunts, he was afraid of any darkness. He was afraid of anything. Now he can walk around in a castle and he has to force himself to be afraid. Unlike when he was in the Sally house back in BuzzFeed Unsolved and he screamed like he was getting murdered.
Wow, this thing's really
Is
nailing
he
it.
trying to get us to get in there and get stabbed? John, not gonna happen. What do you...
You gotta...
You think you're just gonna say, get inside there so I could stab you in the head and I'm gonna go, howdy do, great job?
You gotta kind of lure us a little bit.
Lure
You can't-
me,
you can't
put some
just-
popcorn in there.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've been to a place that has gotten a visceral,
No.
like I feel kind of sick
Tina.
reaction. And this is like, just imagining how awful and sweaty.
I feel like the blood's more
Well,
upsetting. than
blood,
the
sweat, it's just...
You notice how they, again, did not pay attention to the words no and Tina. Again, I watched this prior. They're going to continue on, and they're going to ignore both those words and say something about another name that pops up.
It's gonna be hot down here.
Puss. Probably a lot
And the
of
guy,
shit.
and to be a person who delights in being in here and doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat, though.
Obelisk said no.
Beware. Knee.
Beware. Knee.
As you can tell.
Well, the Obelisk, whoever's in here right now is having some fun.
Obelisk spitting fire tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna put down the Busaby next to what I suspect was his favorite, which would probably be the Iron Maiden.
The Flux 2
Okay. So that was the Ovulus. As you can tell, they were basically just riffing off the words that were coming up. 2 words, No and Tina, came up, a name, and usually ghost hunters, no matter who they are, if they get a name, they will riff off that name for a while. But as you can tell, Sean and Ryan, them been doing this for so long, they realize it's much more entertaining to riff and make jokes off the environment they are in than to try to actually look for something they've been doing for the past 10 years because they can't find ghosts. Anyways, Flux 2. The Flux 2, well, I'll let him explain it.
aka the Busaby, is a device equipped with multiple sensors designed to detect changes in motion and distance in 2 opposite directions, as well as shifts in temperature. The color changing.
So what that means is essentially they're saying that any object, even though if you see this graph where it says motion, they have a little figure as a person. Mind you, they don't outright say they're talking about person because it says motion. The device captures motion, whether it's a ball, a leaf, a bug. We don't know how strong the sensor is. We don't know how weak the sensor is. We don't know if the sensor could be manipulated. We don't know if you can change the distance or the strength of the sensor, and the temperature is just a thermometer. Need I say more? Anything could trigger that thing. Even if you're not near it, it still could be triggered by something else. And people will say, oh, that's definitely a ghost. Must have been the wind. What are you gonna do?
In 2 opposite directions, as well as shifts in temperature. The color changing lights and alarm will get brighter and louder the closer a person or presence gets to either side of the device.
Okay, let's go right here. This guy tortured 50 people a week for 3 years, which amounts to about 7,800 people roughly.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
humans are
Clock it
evil.
in. Now, I know we've primarily reached out to John in here, but if there are any people who sadly lost their lives in here, can you please tell us your names? Or show us that you're here in any way?
Sandy.
Oh my God.
Oh, Sandy.
Sandy. Okay.
As I said, there was a Tina prior, but they didn't mention anything about Tina. So they just, oh, Sandy, okay.
What happened to you in here? I mean, I know how it ended, but
Why would you bring that up? Why don't you ask her something else?
Say. Numbers.
Say numbers.
7,800 people. Sandy, could you move something in this room so that we know you're here and you want to talk with us? My name's Ryan.
I'm Shane. Sandy.
Sorry for what happened to you.
Can
Can you move towards that? Huh. Okay, you already did it. Could you move closer to that green light if you're here? Ooh, I just felt a gust of cold wind.
That's
Wood.
outside.
Wicked.
Wood, wicked.
Well, there's quite a bit of wicked
The wood's
wood
right
in
there to
this.
the left of this. Is that what happened? On the wood over there? If it is, can you move towards that blue light? If that wood is where it came to an end for you, could you move towards this blue light? Do you recognize that wood? Well, Sandy, I'll leave you alone for now.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you,
It's been
Sandy.
a pleasure. Sorry about all the,
Killing.
pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean,
So I skipped ahead a bit because in reality, I didn't want you guys sitting through all that boringness. He just walks around, asking the Ovulus questions, and then puts away the Ovulus. We're coming to the final thing that I wanted to show. And I'll let them explain what the thing they're using is.
okay.
The SLS cam uses a grid of infrared light to recognize human-like objects in front of it, even in complete darkness.
Have any of you played the Xbox 360? We all know what this thing is. It is the Kinect camera. There are many reasons why this does not work the way they say that it does about finding ghosts. The first thing I want you to remember is, remember when I told you that there is a good amount of mannequins in this room on the torture devices? Well, let's see what happens with those mannequins.
We might be able to see you using this device, so if you could just show yourself, we could have a conversation and we could talk about what happened.
You're gonna have to wiggle a little bit.
Is that somebody that just...
See how it popped up?
Oh, something just popped up on the SLS.
Are you wiggling?
Dude, something just popped up on the SLS and it was on
wiggler?
that chair.
It's a wiggler?
No, I'm not kidding. It was on the chair, right there, on the chair.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. Whoa, they're having fun. God. Oh.
All right. So here's the things that I need to tell you. So here you see there's a stick figure here. If you look at the heat map or whatever this is, you can see that the SLS camera is trying to map out a person that could be sitting in this chair. If I let it play a little bit longer, you'll notice.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Just gotta wait.
That was like our little rave.
There was a bunch of people
me a
on all
second.
the tools. Oh my god.
That was nuts.
Okay, right here. So it's the same image, but a little lighter because somebody moved the light. But if you look, this looks like the shape of a person. There is no mannequin on this table here, if I'm correct. I can barely see, but I don't see a mannequin. There's a mannequin right next to it, so there's that. But there is no mannequin here, but if you look at it, it looks like a person, right? And what this SLS camera does is that it tries to force a humanized skeleton as much as possible, because when Xbox made this camera, they did not want it to not see figures, because people come in different shapes and sizes. Some of them do not look like regular human skeletons because they have different facial features, different clothes on, stuff like that. So it compensates and tries to like fill in where a person might be standing. And that's what's happening. So you have the chair and you might be saying, well, that's a chair and there's no skeleton there or mannequin or whatever. It doesn't even matter about light, because just like he said, the infrared just sees infrared. But what it's doing is that it sees the chair and it could be trying to put a skeleton there, and that's why it's moving all around, because it's trying to match the arms, the legs, and everything to a person, but there is no person there. But it will still flash an image there. This is how this works. Plus, there's also the whole fact that there are mannequins in this room. So anything that's next to a thing that had a mannequin, it will see that and throw it somewhere. It's a whole thing.
That was
Oh, there they go again.
Okay, where is that? Okay.
See? If
All right,
I back up.
Where?
So if you look here.
God.
That was nuts.
That was
All right, so this one comes up. It's just like moving all around because there's a chair and it's trying to find any kind of skeleton. The reason it moves like this is because the camera is freaking the fuck out trying to find where the legs and the arms go. It sees that there's a chair thing, so it's not going to move the torso, but the legs and stuff, they don't exactly know where it is.
Oh, there they go again.
And then, come on, this guy, it does not look like a skeleton here, does it? You might say, oh, well, it's contorted. The ghost is contorted and tortured and all that. No. If you look at it, the camera is trying to figure out where the legs and arms are. You can see the head is the shape of the torture rack bed, or whatever its length is. And the rest of the body, it's trying to figure out where the legs and arms are. It's just how it works. And ghost hunters will assume that first of all, it doesn't see ghosts. So any of these things are not ghosts. They're just the camera trying to make human skeleton figures out of non-human objects.
Okay. All right, whoever's on there,
They're having way too much fun.
I don't think, well,
You don't think they're having fun? You think they're like, they're
think-
probably in the chair going like, oh,
well, they're wiggling around, so I doubt they're having fun.
yeah.
Whoever's on top of that kettle, can you move towards the blue light over there? Or can you tell us, can you make a noise on it?
Sure.
I'm gonna walk towards you. Okay.
See, with all that wiggling and stuff, with the knowledge that you can imagine that the sensor or the camera is trying to find the legs and arms and the rest of the body from what it's already mapped out something. It's mapped out part of the chair here, and the wiggling part is the camera trying to capture where's the arms, where's the legs. If it was stuck and it was moving slowly like this, like an actual, if you saw somebody that was in front of this camera, it wouldn't wiggle like this because it would notice where the legs and arms are. This camera cannot distinguish a human versus non-human. That's the part you need to understand. This camera does not, it's not AI. It's just a camera. It's been told that a human has this type of dimension. I don't know the full science, but the science is that this is what a human looks like. If you find something like this, attach yourself to it. And that's what it's trying to do.
Where'd you go?
And he's gone. If there's anybody else in this chamber, could you move towards that blue light over there to let us know that you're here?
Blue light. Oh, walk toward it.
This person is literally on the chopping block. This is pretty nuts. Okay, I clearly think you must have some sort of relationship.
I can't really see what, I've seen this like 4 times, and I can't see what, I think the chopping block is where you get the head chopped off or whatever. Same premise. It's staring at it, and it's mapped out. And now you're probably saying, oh, well, the legs aren't
chopping block.
moving
You
as
think
much
that's-
like the other
yeah.
one. Yes, they are. If you notice, they're like jittering. Because it's whatever it's like stationary, whatever lines are stationary,
Executioner though, because they're sort of
it
like,
assumes that's the human. And the rest of it's like trying to find where the rest of it is.
sort of like,
It's a boy. I would assume no. Honestly,
See
it's
how
either
it's
that or boiling
still,
to me.
the camera looks at this object and says, yeah, that's a human. Let me map it out. So it maps out the object and says, that's a human. It doesn't mean that it is human. It just is what the camera thinks it's a human. Or what the camera thinks it needs to map out. It doesn't even know what a human is. It's a camera.
I don't even.
a shower that was far too hot. It's instantly
Yes, but
painful.
it's the thing about frogs, you know, when you boil a frog.
What?
You ever boiled a frog? Well, who knows? Maybe I'm giving them too much faith here, but
The person in the chopping block is now gone. All that stupidity of talking about frog legs, and they were like, oh, I guess they don't want to talk. I am so sorry for whoever was on the chopping block. If you wanted to talk, you could come back now. We want to hear your story.
our talking was more torturous than torture.
He was like, God, kill me again.
All right. So that's the couple of things during that video that just caught my eye. The Ovulus, obviously, is just a word bank that spits out words randomly. I mean, if you really want to think of it as what it truly does, then technically it just uses the environment and somehow spits out words depending on the environment. But people have tested these Ovuluses and say that it doesn't really work that way. It's just a word bank that spits it out, especially the ones on the phones. You'll see a bunch of YouTubers using the phone apps like Spirit Talker, which is exactly the same as the Ovulus, separate machine, but they're just word banks that previous versions of those apps you could actually add your own words to it, so it would say your name and stuff. The second thing we saw was that beeping light thing sensor where it senses motion, and whatever goes in front of the sensor will show the it will beep depending on the distance and the motion that's happening. And it also had a temperature sensor. In reality, anything could set that off depending what goes in front of the sensor or how the sensor works. Does not mean that a ghost is in front of it. It just means that something picked it up. Whether you can't actually, unless you're really paying attention to it and you have a camera that faces in the direction of the sensor, you will never know if it was contaminated by something, like somebody walking in front of it or a leaf or something or whatever. But there is no definitive that it was a ghost that did it. And of course the SLS camera, as I explained in the clip. SLS camera is forced to find a skeletal version of a human. It doesn't even know what a human is, but its programming is to find and map out a human skeleton form. The issue with that is that it has to be forced to, because Xbox wanted to make sure that anybody that stands in front of that camera will be picked up no matter what. No matter how short, small, fat, large, long, half a body, whatever, it doesn't matter. They just want to be able to, like, someone doesn't have any legs or somebody doesn't have a head or something, that wouldn't work, but still, you get the idea. So you put that camera, and it's not supposed to be moved. That's another thing I didn't add during the clip. In Xbox's manual for the camera, it specifically says if you move the camera, it will mess up the whole camera's trying to figure out something. So you have Ryan, who's moving the camera around to find things, which is now you have the camera trying to see the image that's in front of it, which it doesn't matter if it's light or dark, but it's trying to see the quick image while Ryan's moving the camera out, and it's trying to map as many things as possible to find the human. And when it can't find a human, it's going to try to force itself on something that looks kind of like a human. And that might be chairs, it might be the mannequin that's on there, it might be the little bed thing that I showed you that looks sort of like a human, so it kind of just threw something on there and then was trying to find the limbs and legs. It's a whole thing. And that's just how it is. It's ghost hunting is almost impossible because scientifically there is no proof of ghost. There are people who will say that, oh, the Warrens and we have pictures and videos and this, that, and other. It's even getting worse because now we have AI that can throw ghost images up and stuff like that. It's a whole thing. And I used to be I used to be a ghost person, and then I realized that it was just me wanting something other than what's going on in the real world. And it just is what it is. I don't bash people who believe in it. You want to believe in it, that's fine. But I don't think Shane and Ryan are doing this as fake evidence. I think they're just exaggerating what they're seeing and hearing. I mean, Shane doesn't believe in any of this, so I'm not putting him on the block. It's Ryan who was the biggest believer and now is what I think is a non-believer that is just doing it because now it's his job. That being said, this is my video on their most recent and final for season 3 of Ghost Files. I'm new to this game, so if you see some hiccups in the video, don't mind me. I'm just trying what I can, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.